Thank you very much. I had intended to start to talk about the housing crisis that we have, but since the president was busy tweeting this morning, and you referred to HUD's role in dealing with the hurricane disasters and what you and the administration are doing, this morning, Trump threatened to abandon Puerto Rico recovery efforts. President Trump served notice Thursday that he may pull back federal relief workers from Puerto Rico, effectively threatening to abandon the U.S. territory amid a staggering humanitarian crisis in the aftermath of Hurricane Maria. In a trio of tweets, he wrote, "We cannot keep FEMA, the military, and the first responders who have been amazing in Puerto Rico forever." On Thursday, he sought to shame the territory for its own plight. He tweeted, "Electric and all infrastructure was disaster before hurricanes." So you talked about what you, HUD, is doing in cooperation with, I guess, the administration. Do you agree with the president?
I certainly agree that Puerto Rico is a very important territory. The people from Puerto Rico have contributed greatly to the culture of America.
Well, I'm not talking about that. What I'm talking about is these tweets where the president threatened to abandon Puerto Rico recovery efforts. Do you agree that they should be abandoned, that Puerto Rico should be abandoned?
Well, first of all, as I was saying, Puerto Rico is a very important part of our culture.
No, I know it's important, but I want to know whether or not you agree with the president who's threatening to abandon Puerto Rico recovery efforts.
I think I just said I have no intention of abandoning Puerto Rico. They're a very important part of who we are.
So you don't agree with the president? He tweeted, "Electric and all infrastructure was a disaster before the hurricanes," and sought to shame the territory for its own plight. Do you share that opinion?
I think that our job is to make sure that we take care of the disaster that has occurred.
So you don't agree that it should be abandoned, is that right?
Of course it should not be abandoned.
And you don't think that they should be shamed for its own plight, is that right?
There is no question that there have been a lot of difficulties in Puerto Rico. They ended up.
Should they be shamed for its own plight?
In debt. I don't think it is beneficial to go around shaming people in general.
Okay, so I'm glad to hear you don't agree with the president. Let me go on with my housing question. I want to talk about someone who I recently met by the name of Larry, who resides in a Section 202 housing for the elderly property in South Los Angeles. Larry shared with me the meticulous monthly budget he manages for himself. I have the budget right here. He lives on a fixed income of $1,015 per month. After paying for rent, utilities, groceries, medical expenses, personal hygiene, he has exactly $110 left at the end of the month. He told me he looks forward to using some of that $110 to take his granddaughter out for ice cream. The rent increases proposed in your recent HUD budget would mean an $80 monthly increase for Larry. Larry said to me in my office, "Congresswoman, I don't know which other corner I could cut if I had to pay an additional $80 per month in rent. In fact, I have data that shows that seniors would have to pay an additional $83 a month on average in rent under your rent reform proposal, which is a whooping 28% increase over what they're currently paying. There are low-income seniors in HUD-assisted housing all over this country, like Larry, with average incomes just over $13,000 a year. Do you mean to tell me it is the vision of this administration to raise rents on low-income seniors like Larry? Tell me, what do you expect Larry to do if your proposal to raise rent is enacted?
If Larry does not see a way out, he can apply for an exemption, which will be available to him. Having said that, we are changing programs in such a way as to create sustainability. We don't want to reach a point 5 years down the road where we have no ability to take care of anyone.
Let me just say that I have heard you mention before that hardship exemptions will be available, but I do not accept that as an adequate solution because hardship exemptions have historically failed to actually help people who is eligible for an exemption, and you have never even acknowledged this. So I ask you again, what do you expect Larry and the tens of thousands of other seniors like Larry do in the face of such a dramatic rent increase?
Well, first of all, I think the situation that you just described is not a typical situation. I don't believe that elderly and disabled people will see that large of an increase. That's not the numbers that I have received.
Based on your cuts, they will.
We'd be very happy to have our people go over the numbers with you.
Time.